They gave up on the alien queen's baby. Until a human janitor simply touched her cradle, the royal nursery of the Zarinth Empire was a silent and cold place that night. The tall crystal walls glowed softly, showing shifting patterns of blue light. Dozens of healers stood around a small cradle made of silver roots. Inside that cradle lay the newborn baby of the alien queen, her only child, her future heir, the tiny princess who was supposed to rule the stars one day. But now, the little princess was dying. No healer, no machine, no alien medicine could save her. The baby's skin had lost all glow. Her breaths were tiny and weak, and her heartbeat was slowing more every hour. Everyone inside the nursery looked scared. They had failed the queen, they had failed the child, and they had no idea what else to do. A tall healer placed her hand on her chest and spoke quietly, "Your Highness, the princess may not survive this night." At those words, the entire room became colder. Far away, in a dark hallway outside the nursery, a human janitor named Evan Cole pushed his cleaning cart slowly. He worked in the palace, but he was invisible to everyone. No guards greeted him. No nobles even looked at him. To them, a human janitor was nothing, just a simple worker meant to sweep floors and stay out of the way. But tonight, he heard something strange. A whisper, a soft cry, a sound so sad that it stopped him in his steps. He turned his head and saw two alien nurses standing near the nursery entrance. One wiped tears from her eyes. "She is fading. Even her mother has lost hope," the nurse whispered. Evan felt a sudden heaviness in his chest. He had never seen the alien baby. He had never stepped into a royal room. He had no right to go near any of it, but some soft pull inside his heart made him walk closer. He peeked through the half-open door. Inside the cradle, a tiny blue-skinned baby lay still like a dying star. Evan didn't understand why, but he felt like she was calling him. He stepped inside without thinking. The nurses gasped. "Human, you cannot enter. What are you doing here? Step away from the royal cradle." But Evan didn't move. His eyes stayed on the child. There was pain in her small face, fear, weakness. She looked lost and alone. "Please," Evan whispered. "She looks so cold." One nurse tried to pull him back, but at that exact moment, the baby opened her glowing eyes. The room froze. The dying princess, who hadn't reacted to anyone for hours, suddenly lifted her tiny hand toward Evan. Her fingers shook as if she was searching for something. Someone. Evan knelt slowly, his hands trembling. "I'm not here to hurt you," he whispered. The princess made a soft sound, almost like a cry turned into hope. And then, her tiny hand touched his. A bright pulse of warm light moved across the cradle. Machines beeped loudly. The glowing lines on the walls brightened. For the first time since her birth, the baby's heartbeat started rising, not falling. The nurses stared with wide eyes. "It cannot be! She is responding to him. How is a human doing this?" Evan felt a warm wave run through his arm, like the baby's energy was mixing with his own, like she needed him, like she had been waiting for him. The baby held his finger tightly. She let out a soft, happy sound. At that very moment, alarms rang across the palace. Bright red lights flashed. Guards everywhere started running toward the nursery. Heavy doors slid open. The room filled with armored soldiers pointing glowing spears at Evan. "Step away from the princess!" one shouted. Evan raised his free hand in fear. I'm not hurting her. She held my hand first." But the baby refused to let go. Her grip only grew stronger. The guards stopped. Confusion spread across their faces. Then the air changed. Everyone turned as a tall shadow stepped into the nursery. The alien queen herself entered, her dark silver armor shining, her royal cape floating behind her like smoke. Her eyes were bright gold, full of power and heavy anger. Her gaze fell on the human kneeling by her daughter's cradle. Her expression froze. Her breathing stopped. And for a long moment, the queen saw something impossible. Her dying child was alive, because a human janitor was touching her. No one spoke. No one even breathed. Only the princess made a soft, peaceful sound while holding Evan's hand. The queen stepped forward slowly, her voice shaking with a mix of fear and fury. "Human," she whispered, "what have you done to my child?" The baby's heartbeat beeped faster, stronger, brighter. Evan looked up with shaking eyes. "I don't know," he said softly. "She just needed me." The queen's eyes widened in disbelief. Before the scene could continue, the narrator's gentle voice enters. If you enjoy HFY sci-fi stories, don't forget to subscribe. It helps us bring you more amazing content. The guards waited for the queen's order. The healers stared in silence. The baby held Evan's hand like she had known him forever. And the queen leaned closer, trying to understand the impossible connection between her daughter and this simple human. The alarms kept screaming through the halls, but inside the nursery everything was strangely quiet. The alien queen stood like a statue, her eyes locked on the human kneeling beside her daughter. The baby princess still held Evan's hand tightly, as if letting go would mean death. The healers didn't understand. The guards didn't understand. Even Evan didn't understand. But one thing was clear. The princess had chosen him. The queen took one slow step forward, her silver robes brushing the cold crystal floor. Everyone bowed their heads in fear except Evan, who couldn't move because he didn't dare pull his hand away from the glowing baby. The queen's voice finally broke the silence. "Human, why does my child respond to you?" Evan swallowed hard. "I don't know, Your Majesty, but she woke up when I came near. I swear I didn't mean to enter here. I only heard her crying." The baby cooed softly, gripping Evan's finger harder, as if defending him. One healer whispered, terrified, "Your Majesty." The machines show strong improvement. Her pulse is rising, her breathing is deeper. This is the first sign of recovery. Another healer added, "She rejects all medical energy, but she accepts the human's touch." A ripple of shock moved across the room. Guards stepped closer, ready to drag Evan away. Healers stepped back, scared of the queen's reaction. Evan braced himself, sure he was about to die. But instead of anger, something else showed in the queen's eyes. Confusion, and hope she didn't want to feel. "Let him stay," she said at last. Everyone gasped. "Your Majesty, a human cannot—" "I said let him stay," she repeated sharply. The guards froze. Evan felt a sharp breath leave his lungs. Not only was he still alive, he was being allowed to stay by the royal cradle. The queen walked to the side of the crib and lowered her head for the first time, looking at her daughter with trembling eyes. "She was born too early, too fragile," the queen said softly, her voice breaking. Her heart was failing from the moment she took her first breath. She turned her glowing golden eyes to Evan. "We tried everything. She reacted to nothing, but now—" She didn't finish the sentence. Everyone could see it. The tiny princess's skin was glowing softly, warm blue light surrounding her body. Evan watched her chest rise and fall more strongly with every passing second. "It's like she knows you," the queen whispered, her voice full of disbelief. A guard finally gathered courage, stepping forward. "Your Majesty, this is dangerous. A human should not be near royal blood. He must be removed immediately." The queen turned her head sharply. Her stare alone made the guard step back. "No one touches him," she ordered quietly, "until we understand what is happening." The guard bowed, but everyone could see anger behind his eyes. Evan looked around nervously. He felt unsafe, unwanted, and deeply confused. Why would a royal alien baby respond to him, a janitor, a nobody? The queen studied him closely. "What is your name?" she asked. Evan. Evan Cole." "What is your job here?" "I clean floors, Your Majesty." A surprised silence spread through the room. The powerful queen of the Zarinth Empire, ruler of several star systems, protector of ancient bloodlines, was talking calmly to a human who scrubbed palace floors. Some guards clenched their jaws in humiliation. One healer whispered, "This is not right. A human cannot carry royal energy." But while they whispered, the baby suddenly let out a soft cry. The queen turned instantly. "What's wrong with her?" Evan moved his hand closer. As soon as his fingers touched the cradle's edge, the princess relaxed again. It was undeniable now. She needed him. The queen exhaled slowly. She did not understand, but she could not deny the truth. "Evan," she said in a careful tone, "you will remain by her side for now." Evan nodded, but fear crawled inside his chest. He could feel many eyes watching him with hate. One guard leaned toward another and whispered, "If the queen will not remove him, someone else will." Evan heard it. His stomach tightened. He realized one painful truth. Saving the princess made him a target. Hours passed. The healers left one by one. The guards changed shifts. The queen stayed by her daughter's side until dawn. The princess slept peacefully the whole time, still holding Evan's hand. When morning light touched the crystal walls, the queen finally stood up. "You will rest in the chamber near the nursery," she said. "You cannot be far from her." Evan nodded, exhausted but determined. The queen walked to the door, but before she left, she said something that surprised Evan. "Thank you for giving my daughter one more night to live." Then she was gone. Evan sat alone in the dim nursery, the sleeping princess glowing faintly beside him. He felt tired, scared, confused, but he also felt responsible. As he closed his eyes for a moment of rest, he heard soft footsteps behind him. He turned slowly. A tall guard stood in the shadows, holding a knife. No one else was in the room. No one was awake to hear. No queen. No healers. No witnesses. The guard stepped forward with cold eyes. "You should have died quietly, human," he whispered, "before the queen made her mistake." Evan felt his heartbeat rise, and then the guard lunged. Evan barely had time to breathe. 1 second the guard was standing in the shadows. The next, the blade flashed through the air, aiming straight for Evan's heart. Evan threw himself sideways. Clang! The knife struck the silver cradle rail, sparks bursting into the dark nursery. The princess woke and cried loudly, her tiny hands shaking with fear. The guard hissed, "Shut her up. No one must hear." Evan scrambled across the floor. "Why are you doing this?" The guard walked toward him slowly, the knife glinting in his hand. "You are a problem," he said coldly. "A human touching royal blood. That is an insult to the Empire. The Queen is blinded by fear. She will realize her mistake only after you are gone." Evan backed away, his body trembling. "I didn't choose this. She grabbed me." "That is exactly why you must die," the guard whispered. He lunged again. Before the blade hit, Evan grabbed a metal cleaning tray from the floor and blocked the strike. His arm burned from the impact. The guard was stronger, trained, deadly. Evan was just a janitor, but he wasn't fighting for himself. He was fighting for the tiny princess crying behind him. "Stay away from her!" Evan shouted, swinging the tray wildly. The guard caught Evan's wrist and twisted it. Evan cried in pain and dropped the tray. The guard pushed him to the ground, raising the knife. "You should have stayed invisible, human," he whispered. The knife dropped. A blast of golden energy struck the guard from the side. He flew across the room and slammed into a crystal pillar. The Queen stood in the doorway, her eyes glowing like a burning star. She had arrived silently, but with fury powerful enough to shake the air. The guard coughed, trying to rise. "Your Majesty!" "You drew a weapon in my daughter's nursery?" the Queen roared. Her voice rang like thunder. The guard trembled. "Forgive me. I only wished to protect the throne." "And you thought killing the human who saved my child would protect it?" she snapped. The Queen raised her hand, and golden chains of energy wrapped around the guard, dragging him forward. He fell to his knees. "I will deal with you later," she whispered with icy calm. The guards outside rushed inside, bowing in fear. They removed the traitor and sealed the room. Silence fell again. The Queen turned to Evan. Her expression softened slightly, but her voice was still sharp with worry. "Are you hurt?" Evan held his arm. "Just bruised. I'm okay." The baby cried louder. Evan moved closer, and she stopped instantly. The Queen watched closely. "It is true," she whispered. "You calm her. You are the only one she responds to." Evan looked confused. "But why me? I don't understand any of this." The Queen hesitated. Then she spoke words she had never shared with anyone. "The princess was born with a rare condition," the Queen said quietly. "A failing heart. A weak connection to our royal energy. Without it, she cannot live." Evan listened carefully as the Queen continued. "When she was born, we tried every healing method. Light healers, ancient machines, bio-spirit transfusion. Nothing worked." She paused. "Her body rejected all forms of energy, except yours." Evan stared at her, shocked. "But I'm not special. I just clean floors." The Queen stepped closer. "There is more." She looked at the cradle, her eyes sad and distant. "Long ago, our ancient records spoke of a strange truth," she said quietly. "A rare mixing of life energy. Only humans carried a compatible spark, a spark that could complete royal essence." Evan frowned. "A spark?" "Yes," the Queen said. "Something unique inside humans, something we never understood. We believed it was a myth, a story told to children." She looked at Evan deeply. "But when she too hooked you, the myth became real." Evan felt a shiver run through his spine. "So you're saying she needs my energy to live?" "No," the Queen corrected, her voice trembling slightly. "She needs you." Evan looked at the baby. Her tiny, glowing eyes stared back at him, full of trust and innocence. A strange feeling warmed Evan's chest, like a bond forming inside his heart. But their quiet moment was broken suddenly. The lights in the nursery flickered. The crystal walls pulsed with warning signals. The baby's glow brightened suddenly. Too bright. The queen rushed forward. "What is happening?" Machines beeped wildly, then exploded with sparks. A wind-like force pushed the healers and guards outside off their feet. The princess levitated slightly above the cradle, her eyes burning with blue fire. Evan's heart raced. "Is she okay?" "She is reacting to something," the queen said. "Something powerful." Energy burst out of the baby's tiny body in a shock wave. Everyone was thrown back, except Evan. He could move. He could breathe. He could walk toward her. The queen stared in disbelief. "Only you can reach her. Go!" Evan stepped forward slowly. Electric blue sparks danced around his arms but didn't hurt him. It felt warm, like the baby was calling him. He reached the cradle. The baby's hands stretched out toward him again. Evan touched her. Boom! A huge pulse of energy flashed across the entire palace, and the nursery fell silent. The princess stopped glowing and fell gently into Evan's arms. She was alive, breathing strong, her heartbeat clear and steady. The queen stared, shocked and speechless. Her child had not only survived, she had awakened a power no one had ever seen. But before the queen could speak, a terrified healer ran into the room. "Your Majesty," he shouted, "something terrible has happened. Someone has activated the forbidden stargates." The queen froze. Evan looked up. The baby stirred in his arms, and the healer whispered, "They are coming for the princess." For a long moment, the nursery was silent except for the soft breathing of the baby in Evan's arms. But the healer's words kept echoing in everyone's mind. "They are coming for the princess." The queen's golden eyes hardened. Who activated the forbidden stargates? The healer shook his head. "We don't know, Your Majesty, but the gate's energy signature. It belongs to the shadow clans." A cold fear spread in the queen's expression. Evan looked confused. Shadow. Clans? The queen spoke slowly, her voice heavy with old memories. "They are an ancient enemy, born from dark energy. They hunt royal heirs, not to kill them, but to steal their power." She turned sharply to Evan. "If they take my daughter, she will become a weapon for them." Evan's grip on the baby tightened. "We won't let them take her." The queen studied the human, surprised at the strength in his voice. A simple janitor, standing as if he were already her daughter's guard. She didn't say it, but she felt something new inside her chest. A strange warmth. A strange trust. She hated the idea, yet she couldn't deny it. Evan was the only person her child believed in. Before she could answer, the palace lights flickered again. The nursery doors burst open. Elite royal soldiers rushed inside. Their leader bowed to the queen. "Your Majesty, the outer defenses are failing. The shadows are entering the lower halls." The queen's jaw tightened. "Prepare the throne room. We fall back there." The soldiers nodded, but when they looked at Evan holding the princess, their eyes filled with anger and disbelief. A few whispered among themselves, "A human? Carrying the air? This is a disgrace. He should not even be breathing in this room." Evan heard every word, but he kept his focus on the baby. She was soft and warm in his arms, glowing faintly, clinging to him like he was the only safe place in the universe. The queen raised her hand, silencing all whispers. "Evan stays with us," she declared. "The princess needs him." Her voice shook the room. The soldiers fell silent. The queen stepped close to Evan, her presence strong and intimidating. "Listen carefully. The shadows feed on fear, on weakness. They slip through walls and floors. If they reach the princess, they will take her soul." Evan swallowed hard. How do we stop them? You don't, she said. We do. She placed a small protective crystal in Evan's pocket. Stay behind me. Do not let go of her. They left the nursery. The palace halls were dark, lit only by flickering blue fire. Strange whispers echoed from far away, like voices calling from another world. As they moved down the corridor, Evan felt something shift behind them. A cold breeze, a soft laugh, a shadow sliding along the wall like living smoke. "Your Majesty!" Evan shouted. The queen spun around. A creature made of pure darkness crawled out from the ceiling. Its eyes were hollow white circles, and its long fingers reached toward the princess. Evan stepped back, shielding the baby instinctively. The queen thrust her hand forward. A blast of golden fire shot out and struck the shadow creature. It shrieked and vanished into dust. More shadows slithered from the corners. The queen swung her arm again and again, each strike sending a blast of bright golden light. The soldiers rushed in, forming a circle around Evan, but he could see fear in their eyes. They had trained for years, but few had ever faced the Shadow Clans directly. The queen shouted, "Move toward the throne room, now!" The soldiers formed a protective formation. Evan stayed at the center. But the shadows grew faster. They rushed along the walls like rivers of black smoke. One creature darted toward Evan. He tried to shield the baby with his body, but before the shadow could strike him, the baby suddenly opened her eyes. Her irises glowed bright blue. A pulse of energy erupted from her body. Boom! The shadow creature exploded into pieces. Everyone froze, including the queen. "She defended you," the queen whispered, stunned. Evan looked at the baby in awe. "She knew I was scared." The queen stared at Evan, seeing something she had never seen before. Not fear, not confusion, but connection. A bond deeper than anything she understood. As they walked again, the queen spoke quietly, her voice softer than she intended. "Our ancient record said this bond is rare. Only once in 1,000 years does a royal heir choose a protector from another species." Evan blinked. "Protector? Me?" "Yes," she replied. "You are not only helping her live, she has chosen you as her guardian." She paused, then added, "It means your lives are linked now." Evan looked down at the baby. She smiled softly, glowing faintly. Linked lives. The idea felt strange, but right. They finally reached the throne room, a massive chamber with towering pillars and a golden throne that floated in the air. But just as the doors closed behind them, a loud explosion shook the palace. The queen stared at the ceiling. "They're breaking through." Evan tightened his grip on the princess. Then, from the cracks in the walls, from the shadows behind pillars, from the dark corners of the floor, dozens of shadow creatures poured into the room. The queen raised her staff. Her eyes burned like suns. "Stand ready," she shouted. Evan backed toward the throne with the princess. The shadows prepared to attack. And in that moment, the queen looked at Evan and whispered, "Whatever happens, do not let her go." The throne room shook as the creatures rushed forward, and the real war for the princess began. The throne room shook like the heart of a storm. Shadow creatures crawled down the walls, slid across the ceiling, and rose from cracks in the floor. Their hollow white eyes locked onto the princess in Evan's arms. The queen stood tall at the center, her golden staff glowing brighter with every breath. Soldiers formed a tight wall around her, but everyone knew the truth. The shadows didn't want to kill the queen. They wanted the child, Evan stepped back until he touched the golden throne behind him. His heart pounded, but he kept the princess close to his chest. She was trembling softly, her tiny fingers gripping his shirt. A shadow creature leapt forward with a sharp screech. "Down!" one soldier shouted. Before Evan could react, the queen struck first. Boom! A wave of golden fire blasted across the room, throwing the shadow creature into dust. But for every one that died, 3 more appeared. A soldier yelled, "Your Majesty, there are too many!" Another shouted, "We cannot hold this line!" The queen clenched her jaw. "We hold it. We must." But Evan could see her hands shaking. She was powerful, but exhausted. The shadows fed on her energy. The more she fought, the stronger they became. One creature slithered under the soldiers and shot toward Evan like a silent arrow. He didn't think. He moved. Evan spun around, shielding the princess with his body, pressing her against his chest. The creature smashed into his back. A burning pain shot through him. He gasped, but did not fall. He felt its claws scraping his skin, tearing through his shirt. But the princess did something unexpected. She screamed. A small, high-pitched cry, full of fear, but also full of power. A blue burst of energy exploded from her tiny body, throwing the creature off Evan and across the room. Everyone stopped. Even the shadows hesitated. The queen's eyes widened. Her power, it's waking. Another creature charged. Evan didn't hide this time. He stepped forward, putting himself between the baby and the monster. Its claws slashed across his arm. Pain shot through him again, but Evan didn't move back. "Stay away from her!" he shouted, his voice shaking with fear and courage. The creature lunged again, and the baby reached out her hand. A soft blue light glowed around Evan's body. The shadow creature's attack slowed in mid-air like it was moving through water. Evan looked surprised, but the baby's glow only strengthened. The queen gasped softly. She is protecting him. Evan didn't understand what was happening, but he felt something warm spreading through his chest, pure energy flowing between him and the child he protected. The creature shattered into dust, but the victory was brief. The shadows roared together, hundreds of black forms rising at once. The ground trembled under their weight. The queen raised her staff, but her knees shook. Evan saw her face pale. She was pushing herself too far. "Your Majesty," he shouted, "you can't keep this up." She didn't answer. Her golden aura flickered like a dying flame. Then, a massive shadow creature emerged from the largest crack in the wall, taller than 10 men, with a mouth full of white glowing teeth. Its body seeped black smoke, its eyes locked onto the baby. Even the soldiers stepped back in fear. The queen steadied herself, lifting her staff with shaking hands. But before she could strike, the giant shadow creature launched a ball of black energy at her. "No!" Evan screamed. The queen tried to block it, but her power failed. Evan didn't think. He ran. He reached her in time, pushing her aside. The black energy struck him instead. Boom! His body flew across the room, slamming into a stone pillar. The queen's scream echoed across the hall. "Evan!" The baby cried desperately, reaching toward him. The queen rushed to Evan's side, dropping to her knees. She lifted his head gently. Blood ran down his arm. His breathing was weak. "Why?" the queen whispered, her eyes full of disbelief. "Why would you protect me?" Evan coughed softly. "Because your daughter needs you." The queen froze. Her throat tightened. Her chest ached in a way she hadn't felt in years. This human, This simple janitor had taken a hit meant for her. Her voice broke. "You are a fool, a brave fool." The giant shadow creature roared again. The queen stood up, burning with fury. Her golden aura burst back to life, brighter than before. "Stay alive," she whispered to Evan. "I am not letting you die." She turned to the throne room. Her staff glowed like a small sun, but the shadows grew darker, thicker, hungrier. The giant creature charged with the force of a collapsing star. The queen took one step back. For the first time, she looked afraid. Then, something happened that none of them were ready for. The baby, in pain, frightened, desperate, stretched out her tiny hands toward Evan. Her glow intensified. Her eyes shined like blue fire. A wave of pure energy exploded from her body, not wild, not uncontrolled, focused. It shot across the throne room and wrapped around Evan like a cocoon of light. The shadows hissed. The giant creature stumbled back. The queen's eyes widened, breath freezing. "Impossible," she whispered. "She's healing him." Evan's cuts closed. His breath steadied. His eyes opened slowly. He was alive, because the princess had saved him. The queen looked at him, stunned. The princess glowed brighter, like a small star. And then, the throne room doors cracked open. A deep, cold voice echoed through the hall. "Give us the child, and your deaths will be quick." The shadows stepped aside. A dark figure entered the room, taller than any creature before, dressed in living darkness, eyes burning white. The Shadow King had arrived. The throne room fell completely silent when the Shadow King entered. He walked slowly, tall as a column of smoke, his body shifting like living darkness. White fire burned in his hollow eyes. Every step he took froze the air and dimmed the golden lights around the queen. Soldiers trembled. Healers ran back. Even the shadows bowed before him. The queen raised her staff, but her hands shook. She had fought armies. But this creature was older, darker, and far more powerful than anything she had faced. Evan stood behind the throne, still holding the princess. He felt her small hand press against his chest, as if trying to protect him with her soft warmth. The Shadow King's deep voice filled the room. "Queen Arastra," he said slowly, "you have fought well. But this child does not belong in your world." The queen stepped forward. "She is my daughter. You will not touch her." The Shadow King tilted his head. "Your daughter? No. She is something greater, something ancient, something lost." He pointed a long finger made of dark mist at Evan. "She awakened her power not with your royal blood, but with him." Evan felt a chill crawl down his spine. The queen's eyes narrowed. "You will not speak of him." "Oh," the Shadow King whispered, "then shall I speak of the truth you fear?" The queen froze. Evan looked at her, confused. "What truth?" The Shadow King stepped closer. "Human. Do you know why she chose you?" Evan swallowed. "Because she needed help." "No." The Shadow King's voice shook the room. "She chose you because your kind carries what her bloodline lost thousands of years ago." He lifted a hand. A glowing image appeared in the air, a memory from a forgotten age. Humans standing beside alien royals, humans holding glowing infants, humans protecting thrones billions of miles from Earth. Evan's heart pounded. "What is that?" The queen closed her eyes, and she did not deny it. The Shadow King answered, "Long ago, human energy and royal energy were one. When they combined, a child could inherit cosmic power. Without a human bond, royal heirs were born weak. Most died." His white eyes burned brighter. "Your princess was dying, until you touched her." Evan felt his legs weaken. "You are not a mistake," the Shadow King said coldly. "You are the missing half. And that is why we want the child, because she is the first royal in 1,000 years with the human royal link." The queen lifted her staff, fury burning in her eyes. "You will not have her." The Shadow King opened his arms as if greeting an old friend. "You already lost, Arastra." The shadows surged forward. Soldiers raised their weapons. The queen unleashed golden fire. But the Shadow King walked through it like smoke. "Your light cannot harm me any longer," he said calmly. The queen gasped. Her strongest strike meant nothing. "Protect the princess," she shouted. Evan held the child close and ran behind the throne. The Shadow King turned his hollow eyes toward him. "Come, human," he said softly. "Give her to me. You are not her parent. You are nothing but a tool." Evan's heart pounded, but he lifted his chin. "I'm not giving her to you." The Shadow King stretched a hand forward. Darkness shot toward Evan like a spear, but the baby reacted first. Her tiny hand lifted. A shield of blue energy flashed around Evan and the queen. The attack shattered against it. The baby glowed brighter than she ever had before. Her eyes were pure blue fire. Her small body trembled with power. The Shadow King stepped back in surprise. "So, the awakening has begun." Evan didn't know what that meant, but he knew one thing. The princess was trying to save them. But the Shadow King raised both hands now. "This ends now." The shadows swelled like a storm. The ceiling cracked. The air tore open with dark energy. The queen shouted, "Evan! Into the escape chamber! Now!" Evan didn't hesitate. He sprinted toward a hidden door behind the throne. Shadows chased him like black lightning. The queen stepped in front, blocking the path of the creatures. "Go!" she screamed. A burst of golden fire exploded from her staff, pushing the shadows back. Evan reached the escape door. It slid open with a metallic hiss. The princess cried out in fear. Evan looked back. The queen was fighting alone, her golden light burning, her body shaking, shadow creatures closing around her. "Your Majesty!" Evan yelled. She didn't turn. She only shouted one thing. "Run and live!" The shadows jetted her. Evan had no choice. He dashed inside the escape tunnel, the door closing behind him. But before it shut, he saw one last image, the queen standing alone in a sea of darkness, her body glowing like a dying star, facing the Shadow King himself. The door sealed. Evan trembled. He held the princess tightly. She was crying softly. Her glow flickered weakly. Her small body shook, sensing her mother's danger. "I know," Evan whispered, voice breaking. "We'll save her, I promise." But he didn't know where he was. He didn't know where the tunnel led. He didn't know if the queen was alive. All he knew was one thing. He was now completely alone with the princess, and the shadows were chasing them. The escape tunnel was dark, narrow, and shaking from the battle above. Evan ran as fast as he could while holding the princess close to his chest. The baby's glow flickered like a fading light bulb. Her tiny hands trembled. Her breathing grew weaker every second. "No, no, stay with me," Evan whispered, voice cracking. "We're almost safe. Please." But he didn't believe his own words. Behind him, deep in the darkness, he heard the sound he feared most, a low, echoing growl. The shadows had found the tunnel. They were coming. Evan pushed himself harder, legs burning, chest hurting. Every few seconds he glanced at the princess, and every time his heart dropped lower. Her glow was failing, her breathing tiny, her body cold. "She needs her mother," Evan whispered desperately. "She needs her mother to live." But the queen might already be dead. A crash echoed behind him. Evan looked back and saw black mist crawling along the walls like hungry fire. It was fast. Too fast. He turned a corner and froze. The tunnel ended. A dead end. "No, no, please," Evan whispered. He looked around wildly. There were no doors, no hatches, no ladders, nothing. The only way was back toward the monsters. A cold laugh echoed through the darkness, the Shadow King's voice. "Nowhere left to run, human." Evan held the princess tighter, placing his body between her and the approaching darkness. He could see their white eyes. He could hear their whispers. He could feel their hunger. His heart pounded like a drum. "I won't let you take her," Evan said softly. "That child belongs to us," the Shadow King replied. "Her power will open worlds. With her, our darkness will rule the stars." Evan shook his head. "She's just a baby." "Exactly," the Shadow King hissed. "A perfect vessel." The shadows surged forward. Evan shut his eyes. He was only a janitor, a simple worker. No weapons, no armor, no training. But he had something they didn't. A reason to fight. He opened his eyes again, and they were full of fire. "You're not touching her," Evan said. "You'll kill me first." The Shadow King smiled. "That can be arranged." Darkness rushed toward him, and Evan did the unthinkable. He stepped forward. He didn't hide behind the baby. He didn't beg. He didn't run. He placed the princess gently on the floor behind him, stood tall, and faced the shadows alone. His voice shook but didn't break. "If you want her," Evan said, "you'll have to go through me." The shadows lunged. A blast of golden fire tore through the tunnel. Boom! The shadows screamed and vanished. A wave of heat washed over Evan. He turned around. The queen stood at the tunnel entrance, glowing like the sun. Her armor was broken. Her body was bleeding. Her breath was uneven, but her spirit was unshaken. "You do not touch my child," she roared. Evan had never seen anything so powerful or so terrifying. The queen unleashed strike after strike. Golden fire filled the tunnel like a rising storm. The shadows shrieked, burning away in the light. The Shadow King materialized at the center of the flames. "You survived," he growled. "Yes," the queen said, stepping forward. "And now I finish this." They clashed. Golden light versus black darkness. Every hit shook the ground. Every strike cracked the walls. Every clash echoed like thunder. Evan shielded the baby with his body, but he watched with awe. The queen fought like a mother who had nothing left to lose. But the Shadow King was stronger now. His darkness pressed forward. His claws tore through the queen's armor. His power cracked her staff. She fell to one knee. "Your Majesty," Evan shouted. The Shadow King raised his hand for the killing blow. The baby opened her eyes. Blue light burst out. A beam shot from her tiny hands and struck the Shadow King in the chest. He stumbled back, stunned for the first time. The Queen gasped. Her awakening. It's complete. Evan felt something inside him move. The baby was glowing bright blue. Her power spread across the floor like tiny stars reaching toward him. The Queen realized it before Evan did. Evan, she is calling you. Evan knelt beside the prince, so her small hand touched his cheek, and everything changed. Blue energy wrapped around Evan, filling him from head to toe. His heartbeat matched hers. His breath synced with her glow. His body strengthened with her power. The Shadow King roared, "No, the bond is not complete." The Queen whispered, "Yes, it is." Evan stood up, glowing blue like a human star. He stepped in front of the Queen and the baby. The Shadow King lunged. Evan didn't move back. He pushed forward. His hand touched the Shadow King's chest, and the entire tunnel exploded with blue light. The darkness shattered. The shadows screamed. The Shadow King dissolved into smoke, breaking into 1,000 pieces. Silence. Golden dust floated in the air. The Queen collapsed to the floor, breathing hard. Evan fell beside her, holding the baby close. The princess smiled softly, glowing with gentle blue light. The Queen looked at Evan with tired, grateful eyes. "You saved her," she whispered. "You saved us." Evan looked at the baby. "She saved me too." The Queen placed her hand on his. "For the first time in our history," she said softly, "a human has become guardian to a royal heir." Evan blinked. "A guardian?" "No," the Queen whispered. "A father." The baby reached out and touched both their hands. Blue and gold light wrapped around them, linked forever. The Queen smiled faintly. "Welcome to the royal family, Evan Cole." And in that dark tunnel, far below a broken palace, a new future began. A human janitor, an alien queen, and a baby princess who chose him above the stars.